now it's Brian Kelly at LSU making excuses for not getting his job done on the recruiting trail. Does it ever end with these guys? Welcome to this live, this live edition of the Sooner Magic Podcast. I'm your host, Jason Watkins, and if you love college football, especially the Oklahoma Sooners, you're definitely in the right place. So before you forget, smash that red subscriber button, like our videos, and don't forget to ring the bell so you don't miss one moment of Hall of Fame college football. Well, folks, it's yet another coach is chiming in and about why they can't land their targets in the transfer portal, blaming players, other schools, making excuses. Does it shock you that much? It shouldn't. Before we get into that, I wanted to take a moment to shout out our partners at Hall of Fame College Football, Mint Mobile, where you can get everything you get from Big Wireless, aside from that monthly feeling of being financially violated when you get your bill. Unlimited talk, text, and data on the nation's largest 5G network for just $45 for the first 3 months. That's $15 a month to try it out. If you're not sure about the coverage that you'll get, hey, just do what I did. Try it out at the same time and keep your Big Wireless carrier for those first 3 months. At $45, it's way worth it. You get an opportunity to test it out, not lose any service that you already have, but save an opportunity to save a lot of money by switching over once that trial period is over with. Guys, it's a great way to get out from underneath that foot that Big Wireless has right on top of your neck. Stop paying so much for your wireless service and check out Mint Mobile. Try mintmobile.com/HOF. Again, that's trymintmobile.com/HOF. $45, 3 months. Can't go wrong. All right, let's talk a little bit about what we got going on here with Brian Kelly talking all that smack. What's up, everybody? Welcome into the show. Ryman, Lemon, Daryl, Duke, Billy. What's up, man? Don't care anything about the Outlaw. I don't even talk about that cat on my show, or clown on my show, I should say. Anyway, let's talk a little bit about this. Make sure that you hit that like button on your way in. Help us out with that. It helps us content creators immensely for you to do that as well. BK giving a similar speech to what BV was saying 2 years ago. BV figured out he's got to play ball. It's that's pretty good, Zach. Let's go ahead and listen to what Brian Kelly had to say when he was on the show with what's that guy's name again? Jacques Doucet of WAFB in Baton Rouge. Let's go ahead and take a listen to what he had to say.
I think I made it pretty clear in a number of the press conferences that I had that we were in the market in recruiting in the transfer portal looking for defensive linemen. It hasn't fared very well, quite frankly, because we're selling something a little bit differently, and that is we want to recruit. We want to engage, build relationships. We want to develop, retain, and have success. We're not in the market of buying players, and unfortunately, right now, that's what some guys are looking for. They want to be bought. And look, I understand NIL is part of this, and we have an incredible collective. We have very, very generous opportunities around the greater Baton Rouge area for NIL opportunities. So they are here, but we're not going to go out and buy players. That's not what this is about. This was never about that. We will develop you. We will get you ready for the next step, as we did with Jaden Daniels, as we did with Malik Neighbors, as we did with Brian Thomas. We developed 3 defensive linemen that all got drafted this year, and we'll do that again. But if you're just looking to get paid, you're looking in the wrong place. If you like all the things that we do here in developing our players, bringing you into a championship program, playing in front of the best fan base in America, playing for championships, and having an opportunity for NIL, you should be a Tiger. But if you just want to get paid, this is not the place for you.
We all know what that was. It's a bunch of crap, whatever you want to call it. It's excuses. Brian Kelly's making excuses, just like they're making excuses at USC, just like they're making excuses at Mizzou, just like they were making excuses down in Austin at Texas. They didn't want him. Oklahoma overpaid. Now they bought him. This is taking a shot across the bow at Brent Venables, and really taking a shot at at Damonic Williams himself, at players in general. Players didn't put this system into place. It was coaches, administrators, and the NCAA who made things the way they are with this stuff. That's it. How you're going to put this off on players wanting money now that they can get paid? Well, first and foremost, Brent Venables is one of the ones that isn't going to get into a big NIL back and forth and stuff. I know that when you have that many people involved, he was going to take all his visits. Oklahoma did their best to try to keep him in town. They were the first visit, so they were probably, if he was just about money, they were in the worst situation, because the truth is they talked to him first. He stayed all weekend there, and I think they made their pitch. And look, there's no doubt about it. The NIL is here to stay. They're going to get their money, and they should get their money. They should get their money. Is it out of hand? Yeah, maybe. You know what? It's been out of hand for a long time. But I love what Steele's saying here, trying to save place. LSU's been buying players for years. Get real. Who hasn't is the other thing that I would have to say. This sounds eerily similar to guys like, but Nick Saban. Nick Saban hated NIL because of the fact that it took away the advantage that was built in there that they've already had at Alabama for so long. I don't care what anybody says. That's exactly what was going on. But the truth of it is, they could have figured this out a long time ago. Yeah, similar to what you look. Here's the thing. You definitely have to have the relationships built. And I think that if you know anything about what was going on with Damonic Williams in Oklahoma, there's been a relationship there for a while now. For a while. There was apparently an opportunity for him to go into the portal after the season was over with in the wintertime. He chose not to at that moment, but it turns out, look, when you are a defensive lineman and there's a big need, look, you can get an opportunity to go to the SEC. The SEC is not going to be able to poach from each other, so that was probably a better time for him and some of these other D linemen from other conferences beside the SEC to get an opportunity to play at that level. But you're going to have to play. Yeah, I mean, everybody knows that you got to play the game now. The ones that aren't playing the game and they're making these excuses, and of all people to make the excuses, yeah, I would agree. LSU should not be the ones. Nor should Texas, nor should freaking Missouri, for that matter. Or, hey, are you going to sit here and tell me that USC, they're not going to really play? That's the biggest bunch of BS I've ever heard. They're not playing the NIL game now. They're not going to fork over cash to get guys that they need. Well, I don't buy it. I think it's a big excuse for all these guys. Missouri's been, talking all kinds of trash about Oklahoma and not having the NIL thing set up. Everybody's been talking about that all over the Caden Green stuff. Now, OU went and, blew their wad on one guy. Come on now. Bottom line, if there wasn't a connection there, we know better than that. And don't tell me that Texas would allow such a thing if it had anything, if it was really just money. The kid probably got about the same amount from everywhere, and he chose Oklahoma because of the relationships they're building. And you have to do that stuff. But Brian Kelly's definitely saving face. The fact is, Bo Davis, and you know what? There's guys that come on this show all the time from Texas that, most of them are in here talking smack. But like Dez, he talks about all the time that, look, that's the whole thing with, and you've heard it from Nino and some of those other guys, is that Bo Davis, as good as he is as a developer and coach, he hadn't been great on the recruiting trail. Bottom line is they failed to get the job done. And if you missed out with your NIL collective or whatever it is, which I don't believe that that's the case, then that's your problem. Don't put it off on these players when they didn't make the rules. They're just going by them. I think it's crazy stuff, man. I think it's crazy stuff. Let's see. Yes. Plus relationships greater than either thing on their own. Yeah, you got to have both. Look, there's definitely going to be times that it's just going to be about money. I would say with Judkins from Ole Miss going to Ohio State's a good example of that. But there was some other stuff happening there. They were happy to kind of let him get out of town, from what I understand. The locker room dynamic wasn't good at that point. So he was gone. There's other players that you've seen some of that happen. But if you think about what was going on at Texas A&M over the last few years with Jimbo and the collective that they had down there, which got in a lot of trouble for the way that they were doing things. Remember what Nick Saban said then? They bought their entire class, $30 million worth. Well, they had the number one rated recruiting class in the history of the services. So, yeah. And everybody knew that was the case. Now, Jimbo was standing on tables screaming sliced bread, acting like it wasn't true. But that's the other thing. I don't understand why exactly everybody keeps doing that. Why does it, when you get them, then you don't say anything about buying them, and it's, the way that it's supposed to be, and these guys can get paid. But when you miss, then you start talking shit about, oh, they're just paying for them. They overpaid, or oh yeah, they're out there buying their players. But hey, it's not against the rules. When they get to this revenue share model that it looks like is coming down pretty soon, and almost definitely is, maybe you can get a handle on some of this stuff. But the NIL stuff isn't going away. That's not going to make it go away. It's just going to make it to where you can probably put them under contract because you're sharing revenue. Well, guess what? From what we're looking at, all these revenue share models, they're going to want half of the money that they're bringing in at the schools. And why not? That's basically the way it's done in the NFL. In fact, it's 51-49 is the split between the league and the players. So the teams are going to have to cough up 51% to the players. I just feel like that's what's going to happen. Maybe it's not that much. maybe it is, but I would tell you that expect for that to happen. If you want to get this under control and have these kids not have the power to do what they want once they get somewhere and sign a contract, unless they buy their way out of it, this is going to be the way that it is. All the judges have made sure that we all understand that. And now with the whole House versus NCAA, they have to do something or else they're going to lose billions in the lawsuit. They're looking at damages of upwards of $4 to $5 billion or more from everything you hear. And that lawsuit gets underway in like January of next year. So they got to get it together. January or February, I believe it is. So, yeah. Yeah, but exactly what I said still was like the first thing I thought was, since when does LSU not buy players? When did that start happening? You know, me and Coach were talking a little bit earlier, and it's just, he was saying that it's the same thing that he acted like there's always an excuse with this guy. At Notre Dame, it was, we don't shop in the same aisle as everybody else. And it's so that he has a built-in excuse for if he underachieves and they don't get it done. Well, that doesn't really cut it at LSU because, I mean, don't you remember when they won the Natty and Odell Beckham was out there passing them money on the freaking field? And this was before they passed NIL. You know, so don't give me that shit. Maybe he should blame the sparklers. Hey, did you guys notice at the very end of that thing where he said, you should be a tiger? That's the other thing. Stop with the fake freaking accent, bro. You're from the Northeast. You're not a Cajun. You're not from Louisiana. Stop it. Yeah, I don't think that they don't have a right. They can have a relationship with more than one school. They can. But as I said on the last video, look, that toothpaste is out of the tube. You're not going to stop paying these kids, and they're not going to stop expecting to get paid, particularly if you're a defensive line prospect, an edge rusher, a quarterback. They know what their worth is. They've got agents telling them what they're worth. They're going to get their money. Cam Newton didn't go to Auburn because they gave him the best opportunity to win a natty. Reggie didn't go to USC because he wanted to hold hands with Matty Hill. Get real. Money's always been paid. Absolutely. Absolutely. And Cam Newton, they were trying to keep him, Urban Meyer was trying to keep him from going to another SEC school. So he went to Blinn Junior College, won a natty there, and then went to Auburn. And yeah, he was supposed to go to LSU. I think LSU was in there, but yeah, Auburn ponied up. Auburn ponied up the money. So they bought their national title. Yeah, you don't even blame them for it. You don't even blame them for it. But yeah, same thing with the SC. Same thing with, hey man, you go back to the SMU days, those guys were freaking really coughing up cash. Yeah. And look, I don't know that that's the case necessarily, Zach, that they hold on just 1 second. Yeah, Neilio, good morning, sir. Thank you for the super chat. Good morning to you. Yeah. Matching NIL, he says, with other schools puts the kid in a position to actually pick his favorite place, which I think that's about what happened. I don't think that, look, they're not going to go to, there's a certain place they're going to stop at. Now you're hearing stuff like out of Texas, of course, and Missouri and probably LSU too, that his handler, his agent, whatever that guy is, the coach, was calling everywhere, trying to bump it up at the last minute. I don't know that that's the case. I don't know that that's the case. I know that Texas flew out there on Thursday trying to make that deal go down. You know, I know that LSU was the last place he visited, and then that next day is when he made that decision. Don't tell me that they weren't coughing up cash too. Don't tell me that Missouri didn't have contact with him. I'm sure he had contact with everybody. Nobody knows what the actual sum was. And even if the agent was saying it's this much, you got to get to hear whatever. If he's doing his job, of course he's trying to bump it up. You can't blame him. But I think we've noticed it for Oklahoma fans, you know that Venables has been unwilling to get into bidding wars. Unwilling. So I have a hard time believing that they were just like, yeah, we'll maybe they did say we'll go over the top of whatever comes, probably to an extent. But it is what it is. This is an instance where both narratives have truth. In what way? In what way? Justin, thanks for coming into the show. What's up there, sharpshooter? Well, yeah, it is. And that time is coming soon, Rhyming. It's coming soon. Well, yeah, I think this is what, we were talking about Texas A&M a minute ago. If you don't have a good relationship and you're only recruiting based on money, which I'll tell you, I think that's what's going on at Missouri. It doesn't end up working out. It hasn't yet. And if you look now, Ohio State, same AD that just came from Texas A&M, all of a sudden they start spending money. So you're going to have to build the relationship. And that's one thing, is if that's the first thing that you're talking about is money, that's not going to be it. But if you know, look, he was there for the spring game. He was there that Friday before the spring game. He stayed. He went to a Thunder game. He spent a lot of time. You know, they didn't leave till late Sunday? And they'd been there since early Friday. So there was something going on there where that, from what we hear, that he almost took the offer then. I think for his mother, it was always Oklahoma. And that always has something to do with it too. You start going back and thinking about Williams Nwaneri. He was committed to Oklahoma, or was supposed to commit to Oklahoma. Everybody, crystal balled him to OU for months. Then all of a sudden, the phone goes dead. Nobody can get a hold of him. And we're hearing his mom wanted him to be in the state. You know, sometimes moms make the decision. And I'm not saying that's what happened here, but that tells you just the same thing that we're hearing from all these other recruits, that Oklahoma, they make these kids feel like they're a priority. They are a priority to them. Look at what's going on. Everybody's talking about Jonah Williams possibly going to Texas A&M. I wouldn't be sure of that. The entire defensive staff was in Galveston last week or 2 weeks ago now, watching a baseball game that he played in. Pulling out all the stops, doing everything they can, showing them that they matter, and talking. You know, when we had Nigel Smith on here, he talked about how he pretty much talked to Coach Venables every day during his recruitment. Coach V be running bleachers talking to him on the phone. It's the way it is. Yeah. Yeah, but even if they did outbid them, okay, good for Oklahoma. That should make Oklahoma fans feel good that they're not afraid to play the NIL game. Because if you're not willing to do everything you can to get these players, somebody is. And you're not going to get your needs, Texas, LSU. If that's really the case, that they weren't willing to pay that extra money. When you just made Bo Davis the highest paid position coach in America, and you weren't willing to cough up some cash for somebody for him to coach? Come on, BK. I don't buy that shit. Not even a little bit. Yeah. Maybe so. Yeah, they're salty about it. What's up there, Bishop Frank? Justin Q. Culture is as or more important. Well, that's the thing, is that there's a line, there's a balancing act that you have to do. But if they're sitting there saying, and I've heard some of this, that, I didn't hear the entire interview. I don't care. I know what he said. And I'm sure he was talking about, well, you got to be careful about your culture. And you do. And that's something that's the balancing act that Venables has done a really good job of trying to make sure he's tried to balance that very well. They don't want to pay a bunch of guys. And that's why he said it himself, that they've been very, what's the word that he keeps using? Intentional about who they recruit to come, especially in the portal. They're intentional. There's some guys they haven't even pursued. I don't think that they took a second look at Barrow Alexander. Because if you can't get along with Kirby Smart, and he was getting something in NIL, he was about to be a starter. He had just played on a national championship team. So that's the other thing. That's what made me laugh about the whole deal with, whatever happened with Isaiah Rakes. I think he tried to pull a deal where he could get paid too, because Bear was about to leave if they didn't pay him. And then Isaiah Rakes tried to pull the same thing, and they let him. Supposedly, that's why he ended up leaving. They're saying that he wasn't good enough to play next to Bear Alexander. I don't buy that. Who else they got? They're in trouble. They're in deep trouble. They'll admit that, all their content creators, that even the guys like Tim Prangley that try to act like the sun is always shining in Southern California for his Trojans. He even said, look, if they start running the ball up the middle, we're going to be in trouble. Yeah. It's the same thing with LSU. If you've watched any LSU shows since this came together for OU, every one of those creators are saying this is bad for LSU right now. Real bad. They're going to have to go get a project kid from like FCS or something like that and hope it's going to work out. Yeah. Well, I mean, you had to do it. Look, they've all done it. What's up, PG? Texas and LSU are broke, he says. Yep. They've been calling it's been Broklahoma all this time, but now all of a sudden, yeah. Yeah, dude. Yes, I did. It does always shine in California, but the money doesn't always flow. Well, I don't know what you're waiting on. I mean, if the one thing that you need, I mean, what good is it? Again, I'll say the same thing about them. They just put a lot of money into bringing in Danton Lynn and the other coach, the defensive line coach. That's what it was all about, was to bring these all-star coaches in there. But then you stop short of paying the money you need to get guys. And I mean, look, to be fair and to be honest, the only reason that I feel like USC was certainly trying their best, not just to get Dominic Williams, but also Lole, is because they're both Southern California kids. It made USCJ sick to death over it. He didn't even want to bring it up, the fact that they lost both of them. I don't blame him. And if they're not playing the NIL game, then that's their own problem. It just doesn't make a lot of sense. And again, why do you go get Bo Davis? Everybody knows that he's not the best recruiter in the country. He may be one of the best developers of talent. He's not the best recruiter. Texas will tell you that all day. But they made him the highest paid assistant coach in the country that isn't a coordinator. Silly stuff. Ketchum is ignorant. Screw Ketch, man. That dude's full of shit. Full of shit. It's coming out of his ears. He's so full of shit. And that crap with that he did to Onikuno, I hope Onikuno's fighting that. I hope Sean's fighting that, because fair use says that you can use that. Fair use says you can use it. What a joke. Texas and LSU are screaming. Yeah, screaming. Obviously, the bag is more important, but I think most kids understand you want to enjoy who you play for and with. Look, here's the thing, and there's two things can be true at one time, man. Multiple things can actually be true at one time. You're never going to make the same amount of money that you're going to make when you get to the NFL. But again, I would say when it comes to like USC, don't tell me that they're not willing to cough up cash. They gave Caleb Williams like $10 million to get in there. Don't tell me they don't have the money. They had to pay Bear something. I don't know what it was, but they gave him something. And I'm sure he wanted fair market value. He left Georgia for more money. 1 year, and he's asking for more again. They're paying people. Don't tell me that they're not. Mm-hmm. Yep. And he doesn't have to just be talking during the clip. If it's part of if it's part of a news story, if it's being used to criticize or to comment on something, those are the first three things in Section 107 under the copyright law. First three things. All three of those things were going on. The news story, it's newsworthy, it's happening. You know, it is what it is. Hey, thank you, Stephen G. Appreciate that. There's actually 100 people in here from the other channel. So make sure you guys please do hit that like button, wipe your feet when you come in. We appreciate it. It's very important for us. You can definitely, help us out in other ways by taking care of the sponsors that take care of us, going into our official show merch store. But the free way to help the program is just hit the like button, become a subscriber if you're not already a subscriber. It doesn't matter if you put the disclaimer or not. It doesn't matter. It's fair use either way. It's fair use either way. That's a bunch of crap. And so if he fights it, the thing is like, he could counterclaim it on Orange Bloods if he wants to. And all that is that they didn't like hearing the shit. And what I'll tell you about that deal is, and a lot of people have kind of come to his side of it. Even Oklahoma fans have said that they understand what he was saying, that the rivalry doesn't mean as much. No. We're not going there. Let me tell you why. As of right now, it's still an 8-game schedule, and there is one protected rivalry. One. It's for Oklahoma, it's Texas. For Texas, it's Oklahoma. So this 2 years that they've got this, they're going to keep this schedule for 2 years for sure, so that they didn't have to make that switch to 9 yet. They're going to get their money out of ESPN before they go to 9. But whether or not, you can't, that's the game that you have to have every year. If you lose that rivalry game, it puts you behind the 8 ball for a spot in Atlanta. It hurts you. And it's always going to be one of the first few conference games. What is it? This year it'll be the 3rd game. It usually is around the 3rd or 4th game. It's because it's always going to be at the same time. So don't tell me that it doesn't matter. And if it doesn't matter, then why is it that half of that Cotton Bowl stadium is full every year with burnt orange people? And why are the ratings the highest of the weekend in college football? It matters. It matters. It matters when they win it, that's for sure. What a joke. That was a joke, man. And got what in the end? A 111 win season and a Heisman Trophy, but that's all they didn't get. Even a conference championship. Yeah, no, I agree. Well, and I don't know. It's to me, it just goes to show you they will pay, though, Brian. They will pay out there at SC, right? Don't tell me they won't, and don't tell me that Texas won't either. They showed up at this was the funny thing is, the Tunnel Longhorn guy on Twitter was trying to tell me that was just that agent that was taking that picture of a Lamborghini that was parked at the airport. We saw the picture coming from the university. I don't buy that shit either. They were trying to entice him with a soccer mom Lamborghini. So don't tell me it was just about money for him. I mean, what? Quinn Ewers has a freaking private plane deal now. He got all kinds of money. All kinds. They put OU's against the heavy hitters, not Texas. That means SEC thinks OU is a bigger media draw than Texas. Well, no, that's not necessarily what it means, Ryan Lehman. I get where you're saying. What I would tell you is that there's a benefit. If you're seeing all the love that's going out there for Texas, nobody's paying attention to the fact that since when do teams that have 11 players get drafted or even anywhere close to that, when are they better the next year? Their best 11 players are gone. That D-line is a problem. We know that. Nino said the other day we're gonna have to do very well from the edges because we're gonna be soft up the middle. I mean, there's a Texas creator that'll tell it like it is right there. Nino from Nino's Corner. You want to know real information about Texas football? Watch Nino. He's going to tell you the truth. Same with, I would say the same about Steven too. He's reluctant to tell it, but he'll tell it. He'll tell it. It is what it is. But I would say that they lost their top, 4 pass catchers: A.D. Mitchell, Xavier Worthy, Jatavion Sanders, Jordan Whittington, and Brooks. So that was actually, because Brooks was number 5 pass catchers. And he was probably the best running back in the country. I get it. You went and got Isaiah Bond. I get it that you went out there and got Black from Alabama. I understand that. But it took him a year. It took Quinn a year to get used to the guys he had. All of a sudden now they're just going to step in and it's going to be the same thing. You're going to expect CJ Baxter and Blue to have the same impact that you saw out of Brooks, or before that, Bijan and Roschon. I don't know. The one place that you feel like they're probably good is there, though, because their offensive line is mostly intact and they were pretty good, except for against Oklahoma. They couldn't even get a yard in 4 tries. But the defensive side, their secondary was bad. I guess they're supposedly better. I don't know. The guy from San Jose State, we're really supposed to believe he's that guy? I don't know. And now they don't have the push up the middle. That's why they were going after Williams. That's why they were going after the kid from UCLA that decided to go back to UCLA. Hey, what's up? The man, the myth, the legend, that is Lemon is here. Well, glad you're here there, Legend Lemon. Good to see you. Yeah. They're not. And look, I'm going to just say PK hasn't been that guy, really. And you lost Bo Davis. That surprised me that they let Bo Davis get out of there. I know he's from there, or he's been to LSU before. It was I've heard them say it was home for him. I get it. But you're Texas, man. You kind of need to make that happen, Sark, somehow. But they figured they could still get whatever. I don't know. I think that they're in trouble. A lot of things have to happen for Texas to repeat what they did last year. Not to mention the fact that the second that Arch throws a freaking interception, particularly to a D lineman like he did in the Spree game, they're going to be screaming. The second that Quinn does that, they're going to be screaming for Arch. And Quinn's already kind of mentally soft. I just see there's a lot of things that got to go right. Oklahoma has to have things go right for them to get the playoff as well. And they've got a tougher schedule, but they don't have to have as many things go right. They're loaded on that D line now. It's an elite defensive line now. Elite. It was already good. It got elite. What's up there, Kimberly K? I remembered your name this time. You didn't have to change it back. Good to see you. Thank you. About to head to OU to move my girls back home, listening on the road. Good. Well, we're glad you're here. Be safe out on the road. Let's see. Wonder how Okie Light will do this year. They're going to be mid like they always are. They're Lemon. They're going to be mid. No, well, there's certain people going to be doubting Oklahoma. I mean, that's the way they're doing it. But what I would tell you is what Rhyming was saying was that they know it's a better draw. No, the truth is that there's always been this. ESPN does it. They always want to push Texas to be that team. They're always hoping Texas does this thing. Always. But they never do. You're going to have to actually go through and good for them. They went to the playoff. They went to one playoff in 14 years. They still didn't beat Oklahoma. And yes, OU lost to Okie Light. We know why they lost to Okie Light. And they damn near lost to K-State for the same stuff. The Kansas game, yeah, it is what it is. They shouldn't have probably lost that one either. I would also tell you that Kansas has one of the best coaches in the country. And they've gotten better every year. And Kansas beat Texas twice in a row. They like to forget about that. I think Oklahoma State won 6 out of their last 10 or 11 now against Texas. Okie Light would have their number. Unless there's a freaking conference championship on the line, then you know they're going to gag. It's just what they do. Yeah. Yes. This is the time when you have to insert, yes, Texas media hype due to the brand.
The brand has finally returned. Fuck your brand.
I love me some Sean. That was awesome. Almost lost to Houston. Look, man, they could. And I would tell you that, yes, I think that if Jalen Daniels is healthy, they have just as good a shot as anyone to win the Big 12 this year. They do. If he's healthy. He hadn't been able to stay healthy yet. So we'll see. I also think that Utah's going to be right there in the mix. I think that, I'm not sure that I trust CU at this point to do it, but I think that aside from Jalen Daniels, I don't think there's a better quarterback than Shedeur. They've got weapons. They're going to have to keep him upright, though. We're going to have to see. We're going to have to see. Was Chicken in here? I didn't see him. K-State. I like him too. Yeah. Avery Johnson. I like him. I mean, I like him better than I liked Will Howard. And I think K-State fans love him better than they loved Will Howard. But it is what it is. I have not, but I actually could pull that up. It's pretty easy. I did make a short of it, and it's on TikTok. It's funny. That was funny, man. He got pissed at you guys. What were y'all saying to him? I didn't even go back and look at the live stream chats. What were y'all saying to him? Y'all had him wound. This is a fact, Justin. This is a fact. Here's the thing, and that's what there was a guy in the comment section yesterday that he has come back and forth at me, and it's a Tennessee guy of all people telling me how Oklahoma's defense is trash and all this, and they've never been good and blah, 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 like he knows anything. But even with that, quote, trash defense or whatever, they beat you 2 times in a row. The last 2 times they played you, home and away. You know, so it is what it is. But okay, if there was a team that could challenge it, I think that Tennessee's one of those teams. I think that Alabama will challenge this defense. I think I'm not positive that I think Alabama can definitely challenge the defense, though. They've got definitely one of the best offensive coaches in the country. Definitely. And he's done more with less at Washington. He didn't have the kind of talent that he just walked into at Alabama, and he's starting to recruit pretty well too. They've got a couple of guys in the last few days in the portal where they're struggling is on defense. But I think that, I guess my question is if Jalen Milroe is going to be that guy throwing the ball, or if are they going to have to kind of cater the offense to him running it a little more, which maybe they do. I think if you're Kalen DeBoer, you have to do the best you can with your best athlete. I don't think they want to lose him, but I just don't know that he's ever going to be Michael Penix throwing the ball. I don't see it. Now, Nino was talking the other day about him being a similar to having a Vince Young type of season. Vince could throw it a little better. He had a weird motion, but he could throw it. You know, I don't know, man. I don't know. But yes, I think that LSU will challenge them as well. I think that Nussmeier probably pretty underrated. And you know they're gonna have receivers. And if they're not gonna be really good in the trenches as far as the defensive line is concerned, they're gonna have to score a lot of points again. You know. I like Nussmeier. You know they'll have a receiver or two that you may not know the name yet, but they're going to have somebody. That's what they do there. And I think that Ole Miss should be able to challenge a little bit as well. They're good on the offensive line. They've got good running backs. They got pretty good receivers. I don't know that I think as much of Jackson Dart as a lot of people do. I think he's serviceable, and this is his 3rd season as the starter, so I don't hate Jackson Dart. I hadn't seen him really come through in the clutch yet. You know, I just hadn't seen him do it. So, you know, and again, I think the same could be said for Tennessee. I would, you know, a defense that has what Oklahoma has up front and a lot of talent. And I mean, in the back end, you've got, first off, good talent there, but you've got leadership there from Danny Stutzman, Billy Bowman, Peyton Bowen. If he is healthy, it's going to be really hard to throw the football on them. And they're going to show some things to Nico Iamaleava that he's never seen before. And the thing is they know what Josh does. They all coached with him. They know what he's doing. So I think it's tough for Tennessee. But according to that guy that was in there in the comment section, Oklahoma's in deep crap. I really believe that that's the difference. If they are what we believe they are on defense, they have a top 10 defense. Yeah, I don't know that anybody will put up a ton. Really, you're never going to stop anyone completely with some of these offenses these days. But if you can hold somebody in the 20s with this offense, you should be able to do at least that. I mean, Oklahoma's averaged over 40 for a while now. And I don't care that they have a new quarterback. He's a 5-star too. He's a stud too. I don't want to hear anything about the Alamo Bowl. It doesn't matter anymore. Things have changed. I saw things from him. He was under pressure in the spring game, and I saw him have much better pocket presence. He didn't try to get away with anything stupid, and they didn't even really have all the secondary guys in that they would have had. But he was doing the right thing. I think they're going to be fine. And they got a running back tandem, or they got a whole stable of running backs that could be big time. I know everybody's thinking Taylor Tatum isn't going to – I know some people think Taylor Tatum isn't going to make a big impact year one. I think that that's silly talk. I think the dude is on another level than most people. Not losing to Alabama. Yeah, won at BYU. Yeah, he did. If they hear you're not going to dish out money for their services, they might not even consider your program. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, but here's the thing. I don't buy what Brian Kelly said, if that's what you're talking about, Willie. I don't buy that shit at all. I certainly don't buy it from Texas. What? LSU interior D line is soft like Texas is not scary. No, but you asked me, the question you asked me though was what offense is going to challenge this defense. I'm telling you, those are the offenses I think should. Missouri, I mean, they've probably got the best receiver in the country or in the conference in Luther Burden. I still think Theo Weiss, whenever he's healthy and doing his thing, is good. But I don't buy that they've lost some guys off the line. They lost guys on defense. I think their running back was the biggest reason that they were able to do as well as they did on offense last year. I don't know, man. You know how I feel about Mizzou. I don't think they're anything. I think that they're going to fall flat on their face, even though they have another crap schedule. Overall, I mean, as far as they're playing Alabama, they're playing A&M, and they're playing OU. Those are 3 losses. The rest of them, they really should probably win. But I think that people are probably underestimating Arkansas quite a bit. I think they are. With that quarterback and Bobby Petrino, they're going to put up points. So, there's some guys that have to be. Yeah, they're going to pay. Hey, Willie, you're absolutely correct. You got to pay. And so I just think that's what I was saying. I think it's absolutely making excuses for not closing the deal is what that was. It's the same thing for Texas. It's the same thing for USC and Mizzou. You could afford to go out there and poach Caden Green from Oklahoma. And all we've heard about it is Broklahoma ever since then. Texas says it all the time. Until now, it's, you just overpaid for him. Come on. Vandy looks like a trap game for Texas. I don't know about Vandy, but there's some trap games out there. I tell you what's a trap game for Texas is Mississippi State. Jeff Lebby knows what to do against them. And I think they're going to go out and get, I think that Leb's probably going to go out there. He's probably going to surprise somebody that's, you know, a good team throughout this year. I don't know who it'll be, but like, would it really surprise you if they won the Egg Bowl? He knows what Kiffin does. You know, there's one of those games I could just see happening. Let's see. What does BYU have to make them a contender? They've done pretty well as far as like their recruiting has bumped up. And what they have, though, is they got a good coach, man. That's one thing I got to say about the Big 12 is it's full of big coaches except for Mike Gundy. And BYU has a brand that they can afford to pay NIL dollars. Kalani Sitake, though, is the real deal, man. He really is. I don't think they're necessarily a contender right now. I think a couple years down the line, they will be. Which one? If Gabriel starts which game there, Neil? Yeah. Sure. Yeah, of course. You're not wrong. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, I think so. I get what you're saying. They definitely would probably be overlooking them, right? They do have to go to Nashville for it. So it could happen. Could happen. That is definitely a chat. But the thing is, it's still, I mean, Vandy's trash. They're just bad. They did beat Florida a couple of years ago, though. Yeah, we'll see. Very trappy to me, he says. I like it. Hey, I hope you're right there, Stephen G. That'll shut them right up on the Kansas and Okie Light stuff from last year, won't it? There'll be a lot of smack being talked. Shout out to Buc-ee's, by the way. Shout out to Buc-ee's. If Gabriel starts what game? What am I missing here? He did start the game, but he went out for an injury. If you're talking about BYU, Neil. Oh, yeah, Neil. Okay, yeah. He started, but he went out at the half. But honestly, I thought that I was more impressed with Jackson in that game for the things that he did. He made a couple of big plays. And his checks, he made a check that they had seen on film that you needed to check out of a certain play and run a thing. And he did it on the third down that was necessary for them to be able to run the clock out. Otherwise, they were going to have to punt. BYU was going to have a chance. He made a big-time throw right there. And the fact that he checked into that play, I was happy with that. He made a couple big runs. Look, I think that's the beauty of Jackson Arnold is that he can do more than just throw the football and throw it deep. He's a big-time player. But what I would say is, and that's the other thing, is that it's hard to play at BYU, man. I saw Texas get beat there when what was that guy's name? Taysom Hill. It just beat the brakes off their asses. That's probably been 8 or 9 years ago, probably, or longer. But I remember I went there with my old boss there in Vegas that I was working for at that time, and he was a Texas fan. That was fun because I got to talk shit to him the whole time. But, I mean, and Taysom just ate him alive. But again, BYU's always been one of them teams. They had done that to Oklahoma that year too. They beat them in the first game of the year in Arlington in that game. Ugh. That was Landry Jones' senior year. Kills me. There's another trap game for them. Absolutely. I think that Kentucky is a pain in the ass for a lot of teams in the SEC. They've owned Florida since Stoops got there for the last pretty good amount of time anyway. Absolutely. Yeah. I think that's a trap game. I think they lose that, but I think A&M beats them. I think A&M beats them because what I think is that they've definitely, I think their secondary is questionable, but they added a lot of pieces on that secondary. A lot of pieces. They still have an pretty much intact D line. They still have Hicks there. They have Dindy still there. They've got 3 or 4 of those guys that were from those 5-star classes. They're still really good there. And this coach is a defensive-minded coach. Hey, look, Elko, if you're winning if it hadn't have been for losing that quarterback, because he was really all they had on offense, but they were going to make a run at the ACC last year. They had Florida State beat until he went down. So, yeah. I don't know about OSU. They're mid, but will rise at the right occasion to shock the right. Look, yeah, man. They've beaten Tennessee a couple of times, lately. They've given Georgia trouble for a little while here and there, but they hadn't won a game against Georgia yet, but they've been beating South Carolina. They've been beating, the other teams that, that everybody else they've been pretty much beating aside from Bama, Georgia. Those guys. Norm, where's Norm? He's at the house. He's at the house. Norm's a freaking pain in the ass lately. That dog is crazy. Recruits. Stu's brother. Yeah. Yeah. Yep. I think Bear Bryant was the coach there back then in those days, Neil. They're not going to win the SEC, but I think what Willie was saying, I think it's a trap game for Texas. Look, I see Texas. I don't think they win 10 again. I think I think they lose at least 3. And I really think they probably lose more I think that Arkansas is another game that they've struggled in that game. When they play Arkansas nowadays, and it's only every few years, but they haven't won. I think they've lost 2 or 3 in a row. Again, I think Arkansas is going to be a pain in some people's ass this year too. That kid's a stud, man. That kid that they got from Boise State, that quarterback is a stud. He runs the ball well. He throws the ball well. Ryman, thanks for coming in, my man. Appreciate you. Texas 8-4, 7-5 stink says. Hey, man, Bobby Petrino, he can put an offense together that can. Look, I was a fan. I liked KJ Jefferson. But this kid's better, and they've got Bobby Petrino there. This kid can throw and he can run. I'm not saying they're going to win the SEC, but I think that they could be a pain in the ass for Texas, and they very well could be. Another one of those teams that could, they're going to think they just get right by them. I don't know. And it's a rivalry. Yep. I think they definitely lose to A&M. I know they're losing to Georgia and Oklahoma. That's my belief. And then I don't know that they go and win at Michigan, so I think they at least got 4. But I see them losing another one. Yeah, that's wild, right? That was pretty crazy. Yeah. I tell you who I really think Arkansas is going to beat. Drink in Mizzou. Even though it's at Mizzou. I think that, you go putting freaking billboards up in the middle of the state, Fayetteville and stuff, Little Rock area. Yeah, he's He's always starting all that shit. That's pretty wild, right? Oh, it's going to piss everybody right off. Well, they're going to make excuses like they always do. The truth is they went and got a guy. They went and got a guy that never had won 10 games before because he was able to coordinate an offense full of freaking studs at Alabama. And they want you to believe that he's different than he was when he was at Washington and USC. Aside from the drinking part, I don't talk shit about that stuff. I think that Sark, in fact, I give him lots of props for facing that demon and getting past it. Not a lot of people do. But I still think he's a mid coach. I think he's a coordinator. It's gonna have to be what it is. You saw him play? Wow. That's cool. Kind of like, what's his name? Drew, the Michigan kid. Drew ended up back with the Cowboys after he played baseball. Ugh, what the hell is that kid's name? Yeah, I think at least 3. I think they could lose 4. I wouldn't be surprised if they lost 4 or 5, but I think at least Drew Henson, yeah. I think they at least lose 3, though. They're not. I don't see him winning 10 again. It's Sark. Yeah. Yeah. See, and if you were back in those Southwest Conference days, that was a heated rivalry, heated. And I mean, yeah. Those old Southwest Conference rivalries die hard. But they were the one team that they beat Texas most of the time in the Southwest Conference. Texas didn't win a bunch of conference championships then either. Oof. That's rough. Feel better, legend. Yeah, could happen. Could happen. Yeah. I could see that. Man, they're Arkansas. They're from Arkansas. They're wild. Some wild woo pig suey stuff. But right now, though, but here's the thing. All of a sudden, isn't the Walmart, one of the Walmart people that got Cal to come in there? Right now they're putting some money into there too. They have a much better opportunity to stay relevant than I would say Mizzou does. Jerry Jones being, he was on that national championship team with Jimmy Johnson. Coach Switzer coached for that team. Soft as baby shit there, legend. Soft as baby shit, yes. Of course, man. How about them Thunder? All this trash everybody's been talking. They looked real good last night. I think it's messed up that Shea didn't get the MVP award. They gave it to Jokic again. No love. Mm-hmm. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. They got a bunch. This Thunder up. Yes, sir, Stephen G. Yes, sir. Yeah. I tell you, I really think that's the whole deal. Is I believe that, Arkansas, they may not have it just right away, but here's the thing. I don't know what I think of. I like their coach, but I think that, man, it surprised me that they let Petrino come back. Surprised me. But it tells you that they care about the future moving forward because, look, they weren't winning. They weren't. The guys that they've had come through there, It just, because I don't think, I have my issues with Levy and the way he calls games, but I don't think Kendall's as good as Levy is. And he is a Bryles. I don't think he's as good as Leb. Yeah. Yeah, and their baseball program is insane good. Insane good. Mm-hmm. And, look, I mean, they were their basketball team. I mean, they underachieved this year, but it just seemed something was up there. Something was weird there with Arkansas. But I think that, I don't know that Coach Cal, he'll get good recruits in there. He's only won one natty, though. So you've had, what is it, something stupid like 25 or 30 first-round picks that he's had at Kentucky, and he's got one national championship to show for it. But, they'll be better than they were. They'll be better than they were. But yeah, their facilities are, look, you have to do it in the SEC. You have to do it in the SEC, and they've got guys like John Daly that care about it. They've got some alums that care, and like I said, when you got guys like Jerry Jones, that he's got pretty much an endless supply of money, and when you need something, you can go to a guy like him. Sam Pittman, I think, is probably in over his head as far as being a head coach, but having Bobby Petrino there might keep him around. It might. And I think Petrino stays either way. But I think that it could work out. I think it could work out. And if they are playing the NIL game, which it sounds like they probably are, kind of have to believe that they are. Yeah, man. J.B. Hunt, Tyson, the Walton family. Shit. And Jerry Jones. That's wild. Tyson Chicken. I forgot about that. What'd you ask? Jay Valai getting taller cornerbacks. Yeah, that's what we talked about this past week. And, when they added their last one, I think that's smart. You got to have guys that are, good getting to the football. They track it well, got good hands. You're going to have big, strong receivers on the outside for sure. Now, I do think that there's a reason why Eli Bowen's in the mix too. He's not a 6-foot guy. He's more like 5'10". He's smaller than his brother, but he's fast and he can deal with those shifty slot guys and things like that you're going to see too. But I think that's why you're seeing that. Yeah, the Tyson Bigwig. Yeah, that's right. Mm-hmm. They got money, man. They got money. So that's the whole deal. Is I feel like you just never know which, and with the way that things are now, I do believe that. Again, I think that the NIL stuff is probably going to slow down a little bit because they're going to have to share revenue. And if it's not 50-50, it'll surprise me. Ross Dellinger was saying that yesterday on Yahoo Sports. He's a Sports Illustrated guy. It would not surprise me at all. So we'll kind of see what happens. But I would just tell you that you don't ever know. It could be one of those things that, to me, they're going to get these contracts in, and then if you can recruit, and I don't know that they keep the collectives or how that ends up being, I think that that's going to be the give and take. But I don't think that schools are going to, if they're already paying 50-50 on revenue distribution, they're not going to be willing to just pay everybody through the collective as well. I think then the NIL will be what it's supposed to be, which is endorsements with companies, that there is, equal value coming out. And I'm not saying that some places it's not like that, but what I would tell you is that if you're a guy that doesn't play, why do they care about seeing you on TV? So I think that that's what's going to happen. Oh, yeah. No, and I think he's going to be that shifty guy. Yeah. Huh. Really? I hadn't really heard that name being thrown around down there. I don't know about and I don't know about Washington, but don't you think A&M did? Because that was their first choice from what I understood. Don't you think they had enough money to throw at him? And then they were going after Stoops. Stoops is already making $10 million a year at Kentucky. So they were going to have to pay him in the same neighborhood at least $8 to $10 million a year. And so I think part of that had something to do with this. They weren't going to have to pay Elko quite as much, but they felt like Elko and Stoops were probably the same coach. Yeah, that remains to be seen. But I think Leipold was their first choice. That's what I hear anyways. He seems like I was surprised they didn't, well, and I don't know that they didn't go after him at Nebraska. I think he wanted Matt Rule, though. Did that surprise anybody else that Trent left the AD at Nebraska? Did that surprise anybody else? Wild. Kind of surprising, man. But I think that they wanted who they got, but yeah. No, he's not, but he's a winner, man. He won 7 national championships at Division II level. 7. They've gotten better every year, too. So I think he's a hell of a coach. So it just seems like he's more of a Big Ten guy, though, to me. I think Kansas kind of fits him because of where he's at and where he's been. He feels like if they ever got rid of James Franklin, Penn State, to see that happen. I was kind of surprised they didn't make a run at him at Michigan. A little bit. I'm glad they gave the job to Sherrod Moore, but I was kind of surprised they didn't make a run at him at Michigan. A real run at him. But like Ryan Day loses to Michigan, would Ohio State do it? Same AD that tried to get him to come to A&M. I don't know. I don't know that he's may not be quite flashy enough for OSU, though. It's kind of like Texas. They would never offer Lance Leipold the job. They should, but they wouldn't. They wouldn't. I think they'd probably try to go that Lane Kiffin route or maybe Lincoln. I could see that. Because they think it would piss off Oklahoma fans. I would laugh and laugh and laugh. Yeah. I'm surprised they didn't. I thought PJ was going to take the UCLA job, to be quite honest with you, but that dude's a weird freaking guy, isn't he? PJ Fleck, weird dude. Did you hear what the story that's been going up around up there is that he expects like the team and stuff to like applaud him whenever he comes into a room, and if it's not ample applause, then he'll like leave again and come back in. It's weird. It's odd, dude. Bishop Frank, my man, what's up, dude? Thank you, sir. Big salute back. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. How many likes we got? So we've had over 400 people in here. We got 35 likes. Not quite 10%, folks. Hit that like button if you have not already hit the like button, please. Very important. Very, very important. Yeah, that roll the boat and all. I mean, look, it worked for a minute at Minnesota, but I don't think he's that cat. I don't think he's that guy. I don't know. I wouldn't want that job at Minnesota, though. I mean, why not just stay at Kansas? I think that you have to go to the Big Ten or the SEC if you get an opportunity, though. I think you have to at this point. Here's a question I would have, and I'm gonna get a hold of Bomber and those guys. I definitely want to have them on the show. If you guys haven't checked out the Big 12 Mafia show lately, and if you care anything about this realignment stuff going on, and for you Big 12 folks, Neil, you should probably be watching those guys if you don't already. They are the channel for realignment, and I mean, we're talking on a very wide range of topics, money wise. I mean, they are that. And there was a question that I saw yesterday. It was I guess it was, well, the guy that does Locked On Big 12, what's his name again? The kid that he was the Baylor guy for a while. I forget his name, but he was talking about, hey man, you going to beat some balls? That a boy. Hey, go check out the mail rig stuff, brother. Go check it out. Cheap stuff. The freaking shorts are so comfortable. You love them. Billy, check them out, man. I mean, you get a lot better deals than what you get on your golf gear. Go check it out. It's mailreg.com/JW_HOF. Go check it out, man. But yeah, thanks for coming in, man. I appreciate that. What was I just talking about? Oh, the Big 12 Mafia guys. Those dudes, man, they go so deep in a lot of areas. They have amazing guests on. They're kind of in another area. But anyway, what you were hearing from the guy from Locked On Big 12, he was saying that if this goes to a rev share deal, he thinks that it's going to kill the Big 12. Yeah, I don't know where he's hearing that from. I get it. They were talking about $25 to $30 million or whatever to pay the kids every year in rev share, which that'd be about half for them and what their revenue is, according to what we're seeing. Yeah, I think it's right around 50 with the playoff money. So yeah, it'd be about half. And he thinks that kills the Big 12. I don't know that it kills the Big 12. I think that what happens, a lot of that's going to depend on the ACC. If the ACC does fold, which they're going to, I don't know, man. It looks to me like for sure Clemson and Florida State are getting out, but it's sounding like North Carolina wants out too. And if they go, you're going to get at least one more. I think they're in trouble. Without Carolina to carry, let's say Clemson and FSU get their way and they buy their way out of it. Now, if the same thing, and it looks like North Carolina is going to do that, now who do you have as a big brand? You don't. Now, I've said this on this show before. I know that North Carolina hasn't done anything in football. It doesn't matter. They're one of the biggest brands in college sports, period. End of story. There's a lot of money in them. And I think the SEC would probably jump on Carolina quicker than they would jump on Clemson. The SEC would. Virginia. I see that. Drink equals Jimbo with a pocket protector. I like that. Hey, I can't unsee Millhouse as Drink. Can't unsee it. When I saw that on Twitter that day, oh my goodness. Yes, it does. North Carolina, I was saying that to, I forget who it was. It was like, that don't make sense. I think it was Sooner in Texas that kept saying, that doesn't make sense to me. They haven't done shit in football. I know they haven't. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And they're not bad at football. They're just not. Put them in the SEC, it could change things. And that's probably, I think that'd be one of them programs that you'd have to worry about. They got money. Talking Jordan, man. And the Tar Heel brand is as recognizable as any brand in college in college sports, period. Period. What? What did you just say? Are you just joking? Weston? No way. All right, let me go check here. You screwing with me? Ryan Bertrand. What are you saying? Oh, yeah. Do not know people in New Mexico that wear it. Never been to North Carolina once. Michael Jordan, man. It's Michael Jordan. I like North Carolina because of Michael Jordan. They had some badass players in basketball. Loved watching them growing up. Florida State is another one of those brands. It's a brand. I think it's more of a brand than Clemson. Excuse me. I think that Clemson has become a brand lately, but they're not on the same level as either one of those schools. Holy shit, you're not lying. Wow. Oh, so they went and bought him up, did they? What happened to that overpaying for freaking lesser talent? Jermaine Lole. Well, they needed him more than Oklahoma did, for sure. Jermaine Lole, the transfer from Louisville, flips his commitment from OU to Texas. This came from Matt Conley on 3 about an hour ago. According to Hayes Fawcett. That's all they've said so far on 3. Well, yeah, yes, yep. And those are from the 80s. I mean, shoot, they had Jerry Stackhouse and Rasheed Wallace and freaking Jameson and Vince Carter. You know. Definitely. I mean, I remember guys like Tyler Hansbrough and Montrose back in the day. Yeah. Oh, well. What is Bertrand saying? What is we? Are you in here talking smack about that it wasn't an excuse? What are you talking about? I don't know that guy. Has he been here long? I hadn't noticed that he said anything. Oh yeah, it was probably about the thumbnail. Yeah, I think it was an excuse there, Brian. Yeah. That's still, I mean, Texas definitely needed to get something to happen there. For sure. But don't tell me that that they didn't have to pay for that. Don't tell me they didn't have to pay through the nose from that. Yeah. Winning 2 Division II championships doesn't exactly make you an LSU a championship team. Yeah. They haven't done anything yet. I'm not worried about LSU. There's obviously, look, we know that Brian Kelly, it's like Coach always, I mean, there's a reason that Coach hates him. He'll tell you that he knows how to coach him up, but he's always got an excuse for why they didn't recruit very well at Notre Dame. Marcus Freeman's not struggling with that. He's been in the top 10 every year since he took over. And right now he's at number 1. They won't be number 1 at the end. No. Nope. We should. Why are you worried? Don't worry, Stephen G. Don't worry. Everybody relax. Lole wasn't. It's just what's being said. He was going to back him up. What you just said. He was going to be, and factors feature too. He was going to be a backup there. He might have been in the I think he was probably going to find his way into the rotation. But I got to be honest with you. If he showed up, and first of all, he's had a hard time staying healthy. He didn't stay healthy when he was at Arizona State. That was my concern with him. And that's the reason why they were really more interested in making sure that they got Damonic Williams. Because I think Lole's a good player. I think he'll definitely play more at Texas. He'll definitely play more at Texas. But no, you don't worry about Dominic. Here's the thing. I said this before, I'll say it again. Even if something crazy came about and he did leave, okay? Let's just say that. But I'm telling you this isn't going to happen. Just don't worry about that. What I would tell you is those other guys, yes, Halton, Sears, dude, I don't know what DJ Terry, I mean, where was he going to be in this mix? I think that he was supposed to be a starter. But I think that, he didn't want to lose time in his last year. I don't know that they wanted him to have 400 snaps either. But I think that in the end, they were going to be okay without either one of these guys. Much more okay than LSU or Texas is without them. Period. It's still an elite defensive line. Lole wasn't the guy making it elite. It was Damonic Williams plus Stoney and Jackson. And I'll say this again too. Do not just count out Nigel Smith just yet. A lot of things can happen with that kid over the summer. He's a stud. And he works and works and works. Now, he's not going to be a nose. And I don't know that he ever really goes to a 300-pounder either. But I think he's that kind of guy that you're going to see him in a lot because he's just that explosive dude, man. He is. Watch the weight. He's going to be okay. They're going to be fine. They're going to be fine, guys. They're going to be fine. They were already good to go. Already good to go. Not to worry. I'm sure that Twitter is imploding right now. So let's not be that group from OU doing that. Okay. But just so we know, Jermaine Lole is flipping to Texas. I will tell you this. Texas needs him. Texas definitely needs him more than Oklahoma did. Definitely. And I think, but again, he's the guy that he's had injury issues. He had injury issues when he was at Arizona State. I think his first year at Louisville, he was injured too. He played pretty well last year. I think he's a good player. I'm not even bad-mouthing him. I'm not going to be a Texas guy and say we didn't need him at all. I'm just saying we didn't need him the way that Texas did. What I'll tell you is that he's not what made it elite. It was the depth that he was going to provide that was going to help a little bit, a lot. It was going to be helpful. What I'll tell you is this, though. They're going to be fine there. They're going to be fine there. I think G-Baby's up to 300 or almost 300 pounds at this point. Grayson Halton. You've seen Devon Sears looked really good in the spring. I'm good there. I think DJ Terry is a bad dude too. And I know that Damonic Williams is. And I know that Jaden Jackson and Stony are as well. They're going to be fine. Not worried about it. I think it sucks that Texas got him because I don't want Texas getting any love, but I don't know how much it really helps them. He's not a watch. They're going to start acting like he was the better of the two because they had to cough up a shit ton of money to get him. That's gonna be the next thing they say. Hickman's gonna destroy Lole. It's kind of sad. Yeah, maybe so. Maybe so. I like Hickman. I think that, but I've heard. I don't know if you guys watched the last pod that Nick Six and them did the Red Dirt deal where they had the lineman guys on, and they were talking about Joshua Bates and how big that he had really stepped up over the last, that they thought that he had made a big jump. I think that I'm not worried about Oklahoma's offensive line. I'm not. I know that that's what everybody wants to talk about and give reasons for why Oklahoma's not going to be good. It's always something. He was able to handle Dominic in the SMU TCU. Yeah, he was. Actually, didn't SMU win that game this past year? Chicken. What's up there, bro? Mm-hmm. Yep. Yes, sir. And I'm not worried about it. Again, I think it's good for Texas, but but that's if he could stay healthy. We'll see. Pretty wild. I don't know if you saw yet there, Chicken, but Lole has just flipped his commitment from OU to Texas. So he will be. He obviously hadn't signed anything yet. He was just committed. Yeah, so Brian Kelly. Screw that guy. Yeah, that's what Coach was talking about. We were talking about that. Me and Coach were talking about that this morning. It's the same stuff that he used to always say at Notre Dame is how they couldn't, they didn't shop in the same aisle as everybody else in the country. So they were at a disadvantage and all that kind of stuff. They don't get the same kind of guys, except that Marcus Freeman does. Mm-hmm. Is that right? Cool. Yeah, it just happened just right within the hour. And there's one line on here so far right now. So Hayes Fawcett released it, so I believe it. Yeah, I'm not worried about it. But your boy down there, Kyle, your boy down there, old Brian Kelly and them, they're talking all kinds of smack, man. He said it 3 or 4 different times now about how they don't buy players. Since when does LSU not buy players? Fuck out of here. Texas too. You know what happened. You know what happened with Texas. They just offered Lole a shit ton more money than Oklahoma had. And probably, watch, I bet you it's more. I bet you it's more than what Oklahoma offered Dominic. You know that's going to be their story, that he was the better player out of the two guys. So that's why they went and got him. Although you weren't trying to get him before to flip. Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's what I was saying. I was thinking about it last night. I was thinking, so they didn't buy Jaden Daniels. They didn't buy, their receivers that they've had. Ask Shaq if LSU pays. This is an A1 statement, brother. He does. Yes, they do. Hell, them girls that won the national championship last year on that basketball team are getting their asses paid a lot. maybe, but I don't know necessarily that they're gonna make a huge thing of it. I think that I really think that it has to be the right guy. I don't know. I don't know. And I'll tell you another thing. One of the things that I've heard a lot from these LSU creators, though, and not before the Brian Kelly thing, was that it looked like the kid that went to Miami. The hell was his name again? Why do I forget stuff all the time? Simeon Barrow. He went to Miami, and they can pay. But if he hasn't, I wouldn't be surprised. They've been kind of like, so far, it doesn't look like he's coming to LSU. And either of them are coming to LSU. But that doesn't mean that they're not trying to get that cash together and tampering. You know they are. You know they are. Yeah, I think so too. No, they can still get the guys out of the portal. They can still, if they're in the portal, you can go get them. It's just that you can't go into the portal at the end. Right. Yeah, you can get them. You can get them all the way up to whenever. You can get them whenever. If they're in the transfer portal, you can pick them up. If they've been in the transfer portal from last year, you could go get somebody. Not that they would. I think that the best available, I was looking a little bit earlier, but let's see. Mm-hmm. Right now, the best available would be Tyler Barron. He's from Louisville also, but he's an edge rusher. Never mind. D-line, best available D lineman. There are not many of them left, boys. No. Johnny Bowens, the third, out of Oregon. He just entered on the 26th. He's not signed with anybody yet. 290 though. I don't know. He's the next best available so far. That's available. That isn't either committed or enrolled. Now it's getting into the point where they're already enrolled. Yeah. Or that JVR Suggs out of I don't even know where he's from. What school is that? I don't even know what he's got one entry, but I don't even know what the logo that is. Yeah, I don't think yeah. Yeah. Harmon or Barrow. They had to have paid a lot of money for Harmon for sure. They definitely had to have paid money for him. And Barrow too. Miami definitely has cash. So I could see it. Getting a visit from Suggs. Okay. Look, guys, I'm not too worried about it though. To me, like I said, Texas definitely needed him more. They got their target. Their main target was Dominic Williams. From what I understand, Oklahoma's been pushing for him to get in the portal since last year. I'm not talking 23. I'm saying before that. I think this has been coming on for a while. Striker. Eric Striker. Yeah, what school is out at Jacksonville State? They were a top 25 defense, top 30 defense in the country. It'd be a project guy, but some of those guys, I mean, Sears went to Texas State. It happens. It happens. They'll be all right, man. I'm not too worried about this at all, guys. I'm not saying that I don't think that Lole was good, because he was. He was. The problem with Lole is his health. It's always been that. So we'll find out what happens. But I mean, I'll tell you this. I've said this already, and Texas definitely needed that kid more than Oklahoma does. I think that Grayson Halton's getting ready to make I think that G-Baby can make a big splash this season. I think Devon Sears looked really good in the spring game, and he's a big boy. They're going to be fine, man. And again, I think that Nigel Smith is probably better than anybody that's in the portal right now. Still in the portal. Period. A lot of time in between now and the season for these guys to develop and get bigger. And Nigel already looked good in the spring too. I don't think he's going to ever hit 300 pounds. It just doesn't sound like that's where he really wanted to play at. Definitely want it. Yeah, man. I don't care what anybody tells you. Damonic Williams is a freaking freshman All-American for a reason. And for all the people that are the Texas people that are trying to tell you, oh, he's not Byron Murphy. Well, no, he's not Byron Murphy. Byron Murphy was a first rounder, but I'll tell you this, he's not Byron Murphy. Byron Murphy had 10 more tackles in 3 seasons than he had in 2. They played in the same league. There's no 2 ways around it. And plus, he had freaking Tavondre Sweat, 350-pounder, taking up blocks for him too. So that narrative that those Texas fans want to tell you about, bullshit. Don't buy it. Don't buy it. Speaking of Norm, I'm going to have to get and go take him out. So. I'm sure there's people that aren't happy. Nobody's really happy about it. You can tell about OU coming in. Yep. I don't know how much. Never mind. I'm not going to say anything else about that stuff. I think they didn't. I don't think anybody wants to deal with an Oklahoma team with a nasty defense that you're going to see with Brent Venables. I don't think anybody does. Pretty sure that Georgia isn't looking forward to seeing them either. Or LSU or Tennessee. All these people that are acting like they're so excited or that they don't care or that Oklahoma's going to suck. Don't listen to it. I said this on that video that I put out last week. The words coming out of their mouth is not near as important as the attitude. The shit that they say doesn't matter because they're going to say that's all copium and hopium that they're right. They're hoping and praying that Oklahoma isn't Oklahoma. When they say that Nebraska of the SEC bullshit, it's just that. It's bullshit. You know why Nebraska became shitty when they went to the Big Ten? You all know why. They no longer play teams in Texas and no longer have a pipeline there. That's why. Oklahoma is not losing their pipeline to Texas. They're not. So, the Sippin' Sooner is in the house. Yes, that's what's up. Where you live at, Willie? It is a big thing for all you to join. Sippin' Sooner, man. What's up, dog? I was trying to get a hold of you last week. You home? We should get together. and do some work. Yeah. Yeah. Well, they're not going to out recruit Michigan and Ohio State in the Midwest. That's for sure. Right? When they lost their pipeline to Texas, when they couldn't go get those kids at, like they got to, yeah. Cool. Hit me up, man. You got my number in there. Hit me up. Let's get together this week and do some stuff. Simeon just got bailed out. Chicken, he's working all over the country. Right, Simeon? Right. Charlotte. Okay, cool. Right on. I don't doubt it. I think that there's definitely, look, you should be worried if you're an SEC fan and don't like Oklahoma. You should be worried. Because now being able to recruit SEC kids and having a coach like Venables that they pump out NFL dudes like crazy. They were doing it at Clemson. Clemson had an SEC defense. Yeah, it's going to scare. It should scare everybody. Again, everything you're hearing is a bunch of bullshit. I've said it before. Don't listen to the words. Pay attention to body language and that it's all bullshit. Yeah. True. But they still won a natty in what was their last natty, like 95 to 95, wasn't it? With Frost. I mean, but once they were still decent, but yeah, they hadn't been that good. But Solich was better than any of the guys they've had since then. Yeah, they're definitely worried, bro. 97, that's right. Yep. Yeah, that was crazy, right? And it was weird because Tom Osborne, it was he handpicked him. Why'd they fire him? That was weird to me. Again, though, I thought it was the worst. Look, thank Texas for that shit. He got him rid of Colorado leaving was because of that. Colorado and Nebraska, and then same with Mizzou and A&M. That's why the Big 12. I mean, if the Pac-12 wasn't a bunch of dumbasses, they would have killed the Big 12 last year, 2 years ago. They would have killed them because all they had to do was just drop the hammer and bring in Oklahoma State. Everybody was panicking. Could have went and got Kansas State, Oklahoma State, Texas Tech, whoever you wanted. They could have done it. Yeah. Yeah, but even when they brought in a good defensive coach after that, and they still sucked. Or I mean, he was okay too, but they fired him too. Bo. Yeah. Hey man, I ain't worried. I ain't worried about none of this shit. I think that they're fine no matter what. Oklahoma's going to do their thing. This is what they do. It's Oklahoma, folks. They don't care about the SEC and their tradition. Hey, the SEC has only been the best conference in the country for the last 20 years or 15, 20 years, whatever it is. Before that, it wasn't. And Alabama, yeah, Alabama. But I mean, they'd been on hard times for quite a while before Saban got there. So it is what it is. The tables will turn. OU will be back at the top. We all know it. Believe in it. Trust it. Don't worry about Lole. It is what it is. Guys, I appreciate everybody coming in here. I got to get. But I appreciate everybody jumping in here. Yeah. I mean, I love Josh. I'm a hypo fan. But I do think that he the thing for Josh, though, is that, you can't. They're saying they got a hell of a defense. They were pretty good on defense last year, really. They ran the ball, which they had to run the ball. They didn't have a quarterback that could throw it. But I do believe that Josh is doing good things there, but I don't think that he'll be able to control his emotions enough. And BV knows him. They coached together for a while. He knows exactly what they're going to do. Exactly. The offensive coaches have all worked with him. Every one of them. It is what it is. Oklahoma against the world. Can't wait. Can't wait. All right, guys. Love it, love it, love it. Appreciate you guys coming in here. If you have not hit that like button, please make sure you hit that like button. We have had 600 plus viewers in here already today. We've got 47 likes. Please make sure you hit that like button if you have not already done so. Get over there. Check out our sponsors at Mint Mobile, Mel Rig for performance golf apparel, and our official show merchandise, which includes that shirt. I'm going to do another UPC code of, I think we'll do it with Coach and put that clip on there. So it'll be, so when you do that, you'll get the clip of him saying, fuck y'all. That was funny the other night. So the other one is definitely, I have something recorded. I just need to pop it up there and change it to that UPC code. But yeah, get in there, check all that stuff out. Let me know if you guys have any designs you'd like to see. Anything that you'd like to see on that, design wise for the merch store. Love to put it up there for you. Brother-in-law is an assistant athletic director at Clemson, and we talk all the time about Oklahoma and Texas taking away our 4- and 5-star recruits. Yeah, I wouldn't worry as much about. Here's the thing about Texas is that this is what look, yeah, they get great recruits. They, and hey, they put some out to the NFL this year, but they didn't beat Oklahoma. They beat Alabama in a down year too, if it's me. Yeah. 02 and 03, Norman and I think they're 3-1 or 3-2 against them. Something like that. Beat them in the Sugar Bowl with Trevor Knight. Trevor was the least good quarterback that they've had probably during, him and like yeah, Trevor wasn't that great. He was good though. He had his moments. Neil does be on point. Yeah, he's got it. Yeah, I just looked. Yeah, you're right. Damn, Neil, you never miss. He's our encyclopedia. Guys, appreciate everybody coming on. Willie Ricks, thanks for coming in. Good to see you today. I hope you come back. Kyle, Mars Jams, Neil, as always, thank you for coming in. Thanks for the super chat. Chicken. Sipping sooner, man. Get a hold of me, Chicken. Sipping sooner. For sure. Yeah, Ben Belcher, Stephen G, of course. Bishop Frank, thanks for coming in. Sandlin. Who else do we have? Stink Ass Cat was in here for sure. Thanks for coming in, my man. Kyle DePuis, Weston Sloan, Factors Featured, Zach Reynolds, thanks a lot. Billy. Kimberly K was in here earlier as well. Thanks for coming in. Sooner Lemon, Legend. Let's see. Don't want to miss anybody. Jimmy Satterfield, thanks for coming in, Jimmy. I think we had at least a couple more. Just want to make sure. Well, if I missed you, my bad. T-Boomer. Hope everything's going good with the wife. Thanks for coming in. Justin Q, you were in here as well. Thank you, guys. Hey, man, if you haven't already become a subscriber, please do that. But we'll see you back in here. Hopefully, I'm trying to make sure we can get it together for tonight, but I'm working on a couple of things for that SEC deal. We'll see kind of what happens, but I will see you all. I'll let you know for sure. I'll post something here in YouTube if we're going to go back on for No Cap tonight. We'll let you guys know. And again, thanks a lot, everybody, for coming in. Appreciate it. Dez, thanks for coming in, Dez. Appreciate it. We'll talk to you about stuff later too, but hey, man, your boys flipped a low lay. So they needed them. Good stuff. Appreciate you guys coming in, though, man. We, as always, and we'll see you on the next one.